Have you ever felt like your memory isn't what it used to be? That you're forgetting things like names, appointments, or even the reason you entered a room more and more often? If you're over 50, this might seem like a natural sign of aging. But what if I told you that the real cause could be hidden in what you put on your plate or in your glass first thing in the morning, at breakfast? Sweetened beverages, sweet bread, and simple carbohydrates, seemingly harmless foods, are being pointed out by experts as major villains for brain health. And the scariest part? You might eat these every day, thinking that everything is fine. What you're about to discover may surprise you. Stay with me until the end, because this video isn't just another conversation about food. It's an urgent warning about choices that could be accelerating your memory loss without you even realizing it. If you or someone in your family is in this age group, this content could be even more important than you think. Let's understand together what is really behind this frequent forgetfulness and why these foods need to be cut out of your daily diet as soon as possible. What if all of this is actually happening inside your body without you even realizing it? What if, with every sip of a sweetened beverage or bite of a sweet bread, your brain is slowly being affected, compromising your clarity, your memory, and even your emotions? I know it's not easy to hear this, especially when these are foods that have been with us for so many years. But that's precisely why this conversation is so necessary. If you've ever experienced these forgetful events that seem silly at first, but that build up and worry you over time, share them here in the comments. Tell me, have you ever had an episode where you felt like your memory let you down? Or do you know someone going through this? Your experience can help others who are going through the same thing. And look, if this topic makes sense to you, if it touched you in some way or gave you an important warning, leave your like here on the video. This shows that this content has value and helps the channel reach more people who also need to hear it. And of course, if you want to continue learning about how to protect your health and keep your mind active after 50, subscribe to the channel now. It's free, quick, and you're guaranteed not to miss the next videos. Because what comes next may be even more revealing. We're going to tell you exactly which foods you need to cut out immediately, and why they're being considered off-limits for anyone who wants to age healthily. Now, I want to go even deeper into this subject, because the truth is that there is a silent trap hidden in many people's cups. When we talk about sweetened beverages, most people immediately think of soft drinks. And yes, they are a problem. But the danger is not limited to that. Those industrialized juices that seem healthy, the teas labeled natural, and even some flavored waters carry high doses of hidden sugars. And the impact this has on the brains of those over 50 is devastating. What few people know is that as we age, the brain becomes more sensitive to the effects of sugar. It inflames brain cells, affects communication between neurons, and, over time, contributes to the shrinkage of areas responsible for memory and reasoning. A study published in the journal Neurology showed that people with higher blood sugar intake had less brain volume and experienced faster cognitive decline. In other words, it's no exaggeration to say that it's as if, with every sip, a part of your history is being erased. And the most curious, nor perhaps disturbing thing is that all of this happens behind the scenes without any immediate symptoms. The person continues living, working, talking, but gradually loses the clarity of their memories, confusing dates, forgetting names, missing moments. It is like an invisible leak of everything that matters most: our essence, our identity, and it's not just about forgetting where you put your glasses or the remote control. We're talking about a profound transformation, where brain connections deteriorate due to repeated decisions over the years. And often, these decisions seem small, even banal. A glass of juice from a carton for breakfast, a sweetened tea before bed. The problem lies precisely there, in the appearance of normality. But now that you know this hidden truth, it's hard to look at these choices the same way again. There's a silent impact behind every sip, and when you understand that, you start to see things that seemed harmless in a new light. Now, I want to show you how danger doesn't always come in the guise of a soda or obvious candy. Sometimes it comes in the form of comfort, a warm, soft, sweet roll, the kind you've probably eaten for breakfast for decades, accompanied by a cup of coffee or tea. It sounds harmless, almost nostalgic, doesn't it? But the hidden truth is that this simple habit could be silently accelerating the deterioration of your brain. This isn't an exaggeration. There's a real impact behind eating foods with a high glycemic index, and sweet rolls are one of the worst examples. When you consume this type of food, your body reacts with a spike in blood glucose. And do you know what's even more alarming? A single sweet roll in the morning can generate the same glycemic effect as a glass of soda. The body tries to react by releasing insulin to control this excess. But over time, this mechanism collapses, and the brain, which depends on a very fine balance of energy, begins to suffer. Insulin resistance in the brain is an increasingly studied phenomenon, and it is directly linked to memory loss, cognitive lapses, and even an increased risk of diseases such as Alzheimer's. The shocking thing is that all this happens silently, without pain, without any immediate signs. The person just feels more tired, more distracted, perhaps with more difficulty concentrating or remembering simple details from the previous day. Behind the scenes, while the taste of that bread still melts in the mouth, important brain connections are being destroyed. Precious memories, names, faces, moments. All of these can be slipping through your fingers because of a seemingly small choice, but one made every day. And that's the big question. It's the small, repeated decisions that build or destroy mental health over the years. Many people think that cognitive decline happens all of a sudden, like a scare, but in reality it's a silent journey that begins long before symptoms appear. The transformation happens slowly, hidden among the rituals we repeat without question. And now that this veil is beginning to fall, we're beginning to see more clearly that it's not just about what we eat. It's about how these choices shape our lucidity, our autonomy, our own story. Write in the comments. I'm on this journey too, just so I know who is seeing beyond the obvious and starting to rethink every detail of their diet. Now, I want to show you an even more disguised enemy, which hides inside what most people call light food. Simple carbohydrates. They are found in white rice for lunch, pasta for dinner, and crackers that accompany afternoon coffee. Present in practically every Brazilian meal, these foods seem harmless, but they are true thieves of mental energy. And the most dangerous thing is that, because they are culturally accepted as part of a common eating routine, almost no one suspects the impact they cause over time. For those over 50, the brain starts to work at a different pace. It requires more balance, more glycemic control, and more care with sudden spikes and drops in energy. And that's where simple carbohydrates come into play as silent villains. When you eat a portion of white rice, for example, your body turns this food into sugar very quickly. The same happens with that loose pasta on your plate, or with the cookies that seem like a lighter choice in the afternoon. The problem is that by doing this repeatedly, the body enters a cycle of highs and lows in blood sugar levels, and this directly affects cognitive functions. Maybe you've already experienced this without realizing it. You have rice, beans, meat for lunch. Then you feel tired and a little confused. Afternoon snack? Cookies, coffee with sugar. And then, at night, you simply can't remember the name of the series you watched the day before. It seems like a sign of old age. But what if, behind this confusion, there is a hidden truth that no one has ever told you? That these small food choices, repeated every day, are slowly erasing your ability to concentrate, remember, and find your bearings. We grow up hearing that rice is basic, that cookies are neutral, that pasta is nourishing. But behind this normality, there is an old mentality that needs to be questioned. Because the journey of those who want to grow old with lucidity requires exactly the opposite: more conscious decisions, a more strategic relationship with what goes on the plate. And when you start to look at this clearly, you realize that transformation begins in the simple things, in your day-to-day life, in the silent choices that no one sees, but that shape everything you will remember or forget. Now, I want to go even deeper into this subject, because what is at stake here is not just a matter of taste or lifestyle. It is a truth that has been confirmed by serious studies in universities and research centers all over the world. And when science speaks, we need to stop and listen. Researchers at Harvard, for example, published analyses that show how certain dietary patterns accelerate cognitive decline in adults over 50. A study in the scientific journal The Lancet Neurology points out that up to 40% of dementia cases in the world could be prevented or delayed with lifestyle changes. And diet is at the heart of this. And what these studies reveal behind the scenes is shocking. We are not talking about occasional excesses, but common habits repeated every day. Foods loaded with concentrated fructose, the type of sugar found in soft drinks and processed sweets, directly affect the region of the brain responsible for forming new memories. Refined flour, found in bread, pasta, and cakes, causes glycemic spikes that inflame the nervous system. And chemical preservatives, which are found in almost everything that comes packaged, are associated with neurotoxicity, interfering with communication between neurons. The thing is, none of this is visible. You don't feel any pain. You don't have a fever. There are no immediate symptoms that make you suspect that your brain is being hurt from the inside. But the impact is profound and silent. A slowness in reasoning, a word that escapes your memory, a feeling of mental fog that becomes more and more constant. And we accept this as part of aging. But is that really true? Or are we facing an uncomfortable revelation that requires a change in mindset? It's not about living in fear or cutting everything out overnight. It's about understanding that certain dietary decisions need to be rethought more consciously. It's about having autonomy. It's about preserving what makes us who we are, our memories, our ideas, our stories. Comment here: I want to live with lucidity, just so I know that you are seeing the real impact of these choices and are open to this transformation that starts from within. Now, I want to remind you of something essential. The brain is an incredible machine. Even after 50, it still has an extraordinary capacity for adaptation, regeneration, and renewal. The key is to create an internal environment that favors this process. And this starts with simple decisions that have a profound impact throughout the journey. It is not too late to recover what was lost, and much less to protect what is still there, pulsing inside you, waiting for a chance to grow stronger. The hidden truth that almost no one talks about is that when you start changing your diet, you're not just swapping one food for another. You're realigning your mindset, changing the way you see your own health, and this transformation doesn't happen overnight. But it starts with small, consistent steps. Swap that industrialized tea for a natural, sugar-free infusion. Replace white bread with a slice of real, whole-grain bread with grains, seeds, and fiber. Swap white rice, which seems light, for a serving of cooked sweet potato, which nourishes and stabilizes your energy. These are possible changes. They are real. And believe me, they don't just protect your memory. They restore your autonomy, the clarity to make better decisions, remember commitments, and have clear conversations. Imagine being able to talk to your children, grandchildren, or friends and remember every name, every face, and every story you've shared without that feeling that everything is slipping away from your mind. That's living with presence. It's keeping your identity alive, even as the years go by. And this path has nothing to do with radical diets or senseless restrictions. It has to do with balance, with awareness, with seeing behind the scenes, of what keeps you strong inside. Because true health doesn't start at the pharmacy. It starts in the kitchen, in what you choose to repeat, in what you decide to leave behind. If you've made it this far, it's because this content made sense to you in some way. Maybe it gave you a different perspective on what seems simple but has a profound impact on your life. And if this conversation brought you clarity, if it helped you reflect on your health, your mind, your routine, then it makes perfect sense for you to subscribe to the channel. Here we continue this journey with content that really adds value and puts you in control of your decisions. Take advantage and leave a comment below with the phrase, "I'm with you until the end," just so I know who has really stuck with me until now, and, more than that, who is committed to this transformation from the inside out. Oh, and if this video touched you, leave a like too. This helps the channel grow, yes, but mainly it shows that this type of conversation has value, has a purpose, and deserves to continue happening. There's a video here that complements everything we talked about today. Click and follow me there. We still have a lot to discover together.